I am Robert Sterling Price, and I am building a futurist, functionless public starship industry that is a $3 trillion IPO that will build the miniaturized starship for everybody over the age of 18 for free, but will produce much heavier, larger assets at cost and for profit to the IPO. Today, I'm going to go into basically dimensionalize ongoing communications to extraterrestrials and link that into my most advanced engine design. So basically, on dimensionalized extraterrestrial communications, right? The supercomputer energizes a little bit of non-force matter. We don't have a slated aperture or a device that is currently into production to make a constant dimensionalized communication to communicate directly to the extraterrestrials. Do it. That is automatic. We basically just got to run a supercomputer where it starts ripping apart enough space fabric and digitizing enough information that it starts to basically get loaded onto their communication, and the extraterrestrials are doing the heavy work. So what is actually going on here? Basically, when you rip apart the space fabric, there are forces that are masses that are going through the space fabric, and they rip apart the space fabric, and they're hyper FDL, I guess you'd call them, faster than light. So you're ripping apart the space fabric enough to get a hyper transit of faster than light, like to a trillion to 100 trillion times the speed of light. And this communication is like from one galaxy to another galaxy, this hyper transiting communication. This is connecting automatically to extraterrestrials that have pushed the throttle down, so to speak, and their vehicles are transiting out of the galaxy. And then the CIA implanted rip-based plastic spy gear, and the supercomputer, the main rip-based supercomputer, 15 trillion times the maxed out thinking every single human mind on Earth is picking up and digitizing this almost instantly. And so I'm going to correlate a rip-based fabric dimensionalized communication to basically we go into an engine block. An engine exfoliating mass engine. Basically, we have an engine block that is exfoliating into a normal contrail like a jet engine. But inside this engine, the density of the base roll matter, which is highly transparent, structured, inert, non-particle matter, is densified to several thousand to millions of tons per square inch. Could be over that in bigger ships for sure. So I made this like probably a month ago or so, somewhere around there. It's really big. So basically, we have this super hard mass starship engine. The forces are already exceeding 100 trillion times speed of light. But what happens, this engine rips apart that space fabric a little bit more and starts a dimensionalized injection of that matter that's several 100 trillion times faster than the normal space fabric. And that just goes to, it's like injecting it with fuel or explosives, any bit. So basically, what's happening in a hard mass starship engine, it's densified non-form matter. So when you have something in there and goes through it, it accelerates it to 100 trillion times the speed of light. We're not doing nothing slow. So getting this dimensionalized engine mode going in their most advanced starship engines, it's going to be freaking phenomenal. We can go faster than 100 trillion times the speed of light. It's just turning the engine mode into a dimensionalized engine mode, rips apart the space fabric. The space fabric is full of forces exceeding 100 trillion times the speed of light. And these forces going through this instant super densification accelerate that other 100 trillion times the speed of light. And then Then we got an engine that's extremely exponentially horsepowered, Starship engine. So we got that. You can put that on a missile or weaponize. We do not want to weaponize the knowledge and wisdom of the subatomic realm, because the extraterrestrial alien empires have threatened the United States government over 3 times with complete annihilation. If you threaten the alien empire, there's only one thing that threatens the alien empire. It's the densification of non-particle matter. And this is proven or linked to MH370, where some of the scientists that the Chinese spies, some of the Chinese spies were getting word of the base world matter, and they were trying to actually make American scientists do these tests on the superconductors. The superconductors, basically, when you cool the base world matter down, it does not deplete this minor structure that this material has, and it just stays levitating. It's really kind of simple. And so I go on more about that, but the Chinese Communist Party is still a major threat of weaponization of the subatomic realm, which the alien empire does not at all condone. So this is why we have to go to a miniaturized starship and exponentially free mankind to the stars, because the military gets treated very badly by the aliens. The military shoots at the aliens. All the nations of the world try to shoot at aliens. We've told Putin, we told Trump to stop shooting at the fucking aliens. It's this dangerous and this bad. There's massive... So this massive problem exists. So when we densify the base world matter, we got to put it into a miniaturized starship for each individual person on Earth, and free mankind, get all the eggs out of this basket, planet Earth, to other places in the universe, not the galaxy, all over the universe, where they can colonize and live happily ever after. And eventually get the feeling that humanity is the most important thing in this universe for them. So basically, once you're out in space long enough, you understand that your fellow humans are the most important thing, and you value them a lot more. But anyway, okay, that's going off in tangent. Okay. Back to dimensionalized communications. So now there's a depleted path of base world matter, and there's hyper transiting FTL information coming into the spy network and making a video. And this is where we figured out that the extraterrestrials doing the scientific observations, collecting samples and stuff, they're not staying in the galaxy. They're going outside the galaxy. And you do that through, I think it's just algebra or trigonometry or something, where the triangle, basically have a stationary and your points are moving, and you just do basic trigonometry or algebra. I'm not really sure. Can't remember that math ever. I can't remember basic math. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What is that? I can't remember. I don't know. Anyway, so basic speed and dynamics of a vehicle in flight, we communicated to with extraterrestrials who linked another extraterrestrial on a planet somewhere, giving us another point of reference. We don't know. And there's a new extraterrestrial all the time. They link another one. They just keep doing it, and it's kind of fun. Now this is after an extraterrestrial Imperial hard mass drone, or this alien empire, found some way to put information on a RIP-based global spy network that the CIA constructed illegally, which destroyed every government on Earth and devalued every currency, gold and silver, and that's worthless, all right? Because the government's on mind control. It's freaking crazy, all right? This drone, you see those lights flying in the air? When they're like a cube or a triangle, that's an extraterrestrial Imperial hard mass drone. And if you see a ball light, that's usually from a ship's or a weapon aperture, sending forces down, exfoliating the space fabric into a magnetic field, a stable form of a plasma ball or energy. And that's firepower. That's just to mess with you, just to make you have fun, to lead you on, be a toying with you. They're so extremely more powerful. The espionage is so great. So they allowed an extraterrestrial hard mass drone send dimensionalized communication to the spine arc. It got picked up by the spine arc, and it's basically like a cube, a metal cube on another Earth planet, similar to like Earth-like world. All right, it had like sand and like a bunch of dandelion weeds, kind of spiky leafed weeds, not real spiky, but it looked like dandelion weeds. And it goes up from a puddle. Looks like the peninsula of on Mexico, where Yucatan Peninsula, kind of, but it's different. It's a crater, and then it flies up through clouds. It goes to a 90-degree angle, and it super accelerates past these gigantic galactic clouds. All right, these clouds are around the fucking galaxy, and it passes this massive pyramid-like derelict, and it keeps going, and it's passing little dots that are stars, and it's a cool video. We're getting dimensionalized communication from these drones as well, and we got to set up the spider or the like basic. We don't need data servers for any. No, we need base fabric. Super dimensionalized systems that are going faster than light. So basically, the subatomic revolution, the future's functionless public starship industry, is going to create like 250 galactic orbiting satellites that spy on every square inch of the Milky Way galaxy, and that's only where they will operate. So we get these galactic orbiting satellites going, and they dump at FTL speeds and downloads basic servers that are put off the coast of Australia in the water. Big giant blocks of metal, almost a mile or more across, and these are FTL hard mass servers. Then that information is stored there and sent to John Q. Public of the world. The military will always have priority to get it unfeathered, but no one, from this date forward, all space data is going to be 100% public, and nobody on Earth is allowed to alter it or communicate it, or alter it or communicate it altered and mess it all up. No, you're not allowed to do that. We're not that stupid. People try to obfuscate everything. Don't want people to see all this vast research going on. Stuff like that. So you got dimensionalized communications. You got engines on the drawing board that are dimensionalized engines running. So basically, you got the engine parameters to go this fast, and now you got the vehicle going this fast. You basically have to go so fast, rip apart the space fabric, that space itself is like a sheet of glass. So you have to go into the, basically equivalent to the shock wave, the fast speed of sound. But you have to come out of this space fabric without destroying the vehicle. It's extremely more dangerous. It's hundreds and hundreds of trillions of times the speed of light. Trillions of times the speed of light. Hundreds and hundreds of trillions of times the speed of light. You can go anywhere in the entire universe. So each miniaturized starship will be slated at 100 trillion times the speed of light. That's the Hubble Deep Field in a very, very, probably half a day. That space fabric outside that window, you got a wishbone like chassis, and this wishbone has the 4 levitators, the galactic hard drives, big giant super hard drives for the pictures and stuff, and the galactic map. You got a reactionary battery. Let's go into a reactionary battery. So the base world matter. So you have a standard battery that's got the battery acid and the lead. All right. And then you got lithium ion batteries. You got every single type of battery man has possibly ever made in this battery. But in this reactionary battery, you have big channels inside this, right? A big cubular projection channels. Anyway, so this is a big battery, giant battery, bigger than freaking submarine. This stuff on the nuclear reactor in the submarine, probably. So anyway, I need to talk about this. So we energize the base royal matter, all right, and we project a cylinder at avoidance. We deplete the base royal matter in the standard space fabric in this channel, all right, and then we energize more non-polar matter, and we basically make a bullet, right, and we send it through this channel, but we don't shoot it out the other side of the battery, and we capture it with a device and we shoot it back. All right. So this bullet is of hard mass is going through this depleted channel of space fabric in the battery. But then we have so much computer control, we start to close this voided cylinder that this bullet is going through, this hard mass bullet, and this bullet just scrapes the edge and hits blobs of non-polar matter. The basic ion is a energized blob of non-polar matter. It's a micro synchronicity, you could say that, but it's a micro density. So this energized blob of non-polar matter gets blown off this channel, and it rests into another density, typically lead or a reaction inside of lithium. So it goes on. So this is a reactionary barrier. So this ion, we blow off this ion off this channel, and this battery is called a standby battery, Starship standby battery power. So now we got it down. So this ion blows off, connects to the density of the reaction, whatever type of reaction we put in the battery, and then this is converted into a structured singularity. It's an electron. We get an electron source going out of the space. We don't know how many electrons we can pull from a density. Basically, a magnetic field in a generator is non-polar matter, and it pushes those electrons out of the metal and cycles it around an AC or DC current. And it's basically a Starship battery is able to re-energize itself. Is basically what I'm trying to get at. So long as we have enough energy to start that process back up, and our battery should remain several thousand times the bottom line capacity of the battery. So we got a Starship reactionary battery on the chassis, a wishbone-like chassis, 4 levitators, quadruple particle reactors, quadruple flight redundancy systems on every miniaturized Starship. You got 4 engines at the rear, the chassis right here, and then the Starship body and stuff will sit on top of the chassis. The chassis will have the legs and the bottom plate put on it. And the cabin. It's so funny. That's so fun. And it's basically a miniaturized Starship. Bigger Starships, bigger assets require more power, more advanced things. This is extremely powerful. Then you got hard mass LEDs in the floor that create densities of non-polar matter, and they exfoliate into ultralight non-polar matter. And then you have the hard mass energizers you got a 1 foot thick foam metal hull wall, and these have this secondary shield in it, and you project this outside of the vehicle to compensate. Now the Wishbone chassis will shoot a stream of non-polar matter out and exfoliate around the vehicle as the engine power is coming up to full power, and you'll have this vehicle in 100% shielded, going through space at 100 trillion times the speed of light. Then also you got the computer structure space fabric LEDs in the cabin, so you're sitting there at the cockpit. Now we have to test this on real stuff. So when we super accelerate a vehicle, which we'll probably have a test platform, and it'll go 100 trillion times the speed of light, we'll have the computer structure space fabric engaged and not engaged. And so these LEDs have internal computer structure space fabric of control of the cabin, so nothing will fly around and kill you. Your brain won't move around in your head, or your guts won't rip off your intestinal lining. Rip off your muscles and bones and whatever. Anyway, and then If we get so good and have a lot of money, we might make a door that's just like an energy wall in like Halo or advanced other sci-fi games. You have computer structure space fabric keeping all the air and water, so you can open the door in space like a big bay in a sci-fi movie. Yeah, we'll have that for space station. So basically, with all the amount of derelicts that we have seen and know out there, according to the data injected into my mind, rent's going to be free. You can move anywhere in the galaxy. Somebody build a building. It's going to be free rent just to attract people. And you have to find some other way to get people. We got 9 billion people going everywhere they want to. So it could be like a super capitalist. Got to make money. Basically, it'll probably be like 6 months of work, and 6 months you're settling the universe. But every day you got your own personalized miniaturized starship. So you got dimensionalized communications. Now we'll probably put this in a Matterhorn for big space stations. The Matterhorn will point in a certain way and make a stream and get an FTL, faster than light dimensionalized communication. This may be going. Now this may lead to the internet going galactic to galactic, galaxy to galaxy in the future. And the IPO will be definitely behind this and owning this technology, in which it'll require a fee just like a normal bill. But right now you can go to space. You will be able to go to space and get rid of all your bills, because right in the precursor to the exponential freedom of mankind, those things are a priority: communication, energy, food. So if the IPO gets set up right, we will literally just pay for constant ration, constant communication, constant stuff. It'll be paid for you until we get a base, industrial base on other Earth-like worlds. We'll get computer structured space fabric factories going to other planets and starting to pull product and stuff to generate income. The IPO has to make money, but it does give you an access, the miniaturized starship, to an exponential subatomic revolutionary economy. So, so we got all this. What about teleportation? There's no. So definitely the Pentagon has looked at the Rip Space Fabric Telescope data. So in 2009, or when the first Thor movie came out, the Rip Space Fabric Telescope operated, and it vindicated me that the base royal matter was there. Forces exceeding the speed of light were there with the Rip Space Fabric. So I got the CIA to make a subatomic aperture, a Rip Space Fabric lens, hooked it up to a Rip Space Fabric supercomputer, and I put this all in a letter, and it's on my Twitter account. And so several weeks later, they're using the Pentagon. So the first time, the Pentagon, the CIA, and the Fat British Bible and me were basically the people that operated this. The second time, the Pentagon was allowed into this major success that we had. We have this guy that's ranting and raving. I think he's the guy on HBO, because they could not handle the shit that they were looking at. They went freaked out. They just went crazy. So I think that guy is the guy on HBO. That one's real stressed out. He fits the dang description. So the shut down the Rip Space supercomputer very shortly after the Pentagon couldn't handle it. But then, since these stories were so outlandish, they made the Pentagon a little plane they shoot up in space and tried to reconfirm this. So I think that's where their data came from. But then, and there's so much information. I don't know about that. But the Pentagon took several weeks to analyze this, and basically there's no movie like teleportation. There's just a fast movement of speed out there. Every major starship is going just extremely fast. It's crazy. It's so the CIA over the years made rip-based fabric lenses for my eyeballs, and they took pictures with these eye lenses they made. They have control over it. I can't. It'll just like flash a little dot, a little bright dot on my eyes. I know they took a picture of that, and it's not important. It never was. But so I can have them programmed only by the perfect people, only the people that, and I have to see teleportation forces from the starships without using a telescope or a corrected rip-based fabric teleportation allowing telescope, which would be a fucking nightmare to get this shit in production, but it will happen. So they reanalyze some of the images that they're getting from space. So now this has been 5-10 years apart. Now there's astronomers who are getting this information through the grapevine, and they're looking at the dots in the night sky from like Jim Lake, but they go farther than that. So there was a black astronomer that actually found or was allowed to see the encapsulated star, the ships that are 4 to 20 times the size of our solar system out there, and he knows that after 2 a.m. it goes to Australia, so he can't see him anymore apparently. And I seen him at 11 o'clock in like 2009 or something. You look to the east, you look up at 11 o'clock, at 11 at night, and about 11 o'clock and up in the air, or 11 or 1 in that general area, and you see that 5 jetted red flash of the encapsulated star moving around out there. I can't really see the vehicle. You can't see the vehicles with my eye lenses or anything. But you can just see the teleportation flashes. But now, there's discrepancy. So you're getting forces from these massive engines that are over trillions of tons per square inch, teleporting through the base row matter, essentially. But if you have a rip-based fabric piece of technology, you can begin to discern the vehicle's shape, size, and reflections, and they're just millions. So I keep telling people that there's probably 1 million square ships per square inch when you really rip apart the space fabric. Just the low density of extraterrestrial vehicles throughout that distances. You're going trillions and trillions and trillions of light years away. You'll see them. You'll eventually get to see them. So you got dimensionalized communications that are codified in the supercomputer. You got astronomers, just regular astronomers, seeing the flashes and understanding that they're being allowed by the CIA to actually go out and do this and actually capture them and have it in secret circles where they're capturing these teleportation forces. The Pentagon has looked at it and noticed and a much broader, better capability that they're just a fast moving speed. There's no starship coming out of a warp. That does not happen. The starship is just going so extremely fast, and you can watch it the whole distance, then it'll just stop. Then it stops. It starts up, goes fast, and goes a long ways away, and it stops. There's no real warp or warp bubble or like a starship taking off into a... Now, I can build a starship that does that. But what's the use when you got an engine that has exponential horsepower? I can void the space fabric and give it like maybe 1 to 20% increase in velocity, but then you got to come out of that velocity and go back down to 0. It's really not necessary. You can do that. we're not that advanced yet. I don't think no race. It's just impractical actually doing that. If you got to start spending and run that safe, that long distance, that fast, trillions and trillions of times the speed of light, you don't really need to do that. It'd be just more like Star Wars. You go FTL, the lights streak by. Hey, you're at your own planet you want to be at. It'd be more accurate. Star Wars is probably more accurate than any other space FTL travel. So then it just stopped. The stars stopped streaming. You just hit the brake, the stars stopped streaming. There's the planet. And we got to land there. It's basically, it's more simple than you realize. This is extremely simple. So we have SR, structured relativity. Equal equates to the exponential affinity, EE. Exponential affinity of the subatomic realm. From a structure singularity, a particle in various densities and sizes, to a blob of mass. It can be super nano to a structure connecting itself like 3 feet in the Earth's atmosphere, to voids, various many types of voids, a less dense region of the natural accumulating space fabric. Exponential affinity covers everything. Exponential affinity of the subatomic realm, which this equates into the base royal matter or mass. The base royal matter is highly transparent, structured, inert, non-particle form matter. And this is what you're dealing with. So I gotta get like GoFundMe pages, quick starter pages, whatever, up and running. Maybe people will invest in a $3 trillion IPO. So basically the shares will be contracted. So the bottom line of the company will produce the miniaturized starship for free to the general public, and that is the economic baseline of the company. And then all the big assets we get into production, and basically another IPO has to be created and sold to that IPO for rent. So this is real. So nobody on Earth has the money to buy a $1 trillion asset or starship. So this is why we long-term lease to another IPO that runs this facility like a 10-story starship. You know, we got 10 stories, got exponential levitation capability, runs 100 trillion times speed of light. Got one company after another. You're making insurance policy $1 million per person per year, or just $1 million on time of death, whatever that happens. And you got $1 million payday per year for every employee on board. And they have to go out there and make more money and pay this starship industry this vast debt that they incurred on this starship asset. Now, the first thing the subatomic revolution will do when it creates its IPO, its futures function as public starship industry, this industry will create a foam metal plant. And so we can get the much bigger assets out the door in a quicker amount of time. But we will be producing 100 million miniaturized starships a day. Each vehicle is 4 times the size of an F-150. But the foam metal plant will basically go to the much larger assets that the government is really drooling over. It's like in Joe Biden's Oval Office, he learned about the carryalls of the subatomic revolution. They're about as big as an aircraft carrier. What we do is we have a perfect industry to build the components of the starship, right? And they load up all these assets on a carryall. The carryall takes them to the guy assembler that puts them together. It's just a contractor who does one ship at a time, depending on how fast we can produce the vehicles. And we have work crews, and we have flying restaurants, flying toll stations. We have everything. We're going to have flying air conditioning units. We have a drone operator on scene that'll help the flying air conditioners, the flying cranes, got levitating forklifts. You got hard mass levitators that are being driven by a pilot. Maybe one or two levitators, and where'd my shit go? Oh, well. And it picks up a big block of metal. The hell did I give it a shit? All right. I don't know where that went to. My damn little chip I had for illustration purposes. So, it's me just talking. So we got all these work crews, we got these people going, and we got the general idea. So it's going to take like 2 years. Well, not right. 2 years probably to get people trained up to this level. So you have them all working together, or orchestrating a massive construction assembly of a. It's pretty simple. It's not that complicated. Everything's going to be where it's put together. Pretty easy. The basic chassis, the basic legs, the bottom plate will be extremely easy to put on. It's not going to be too hard. So this is set up. So you have the body of the ship. I can't find the little toy I had. The body of the ship will separate from the chassis. All right, in space, and you can work on it if you have to on another planet or another in orbit. You can disassemble this entire starship and leave the crew alive. If you got a station by, you can separate it all without gravity, 0G, and fix it. So starship's got to run. We turn it on, and we never turn off the starship. We will never do that. It just got to on, and it's on forever. This vehicle will run until everybody's dead or it blows up. It shouldn't ever happen. So basically, the base raw matter, when it's energized and densified and it's constantly stabilizing itself, it will not leak out any radiation. It will not. It will constantly collect mass and keep a density every time it moves. So it'll never require fuel. It only requires air and water, exfoliating the CO2. So it'd be the perfect, coolest ship you'd ever have. The best ship. And we're just right there now. We'll probably have standalone levitators that would go into a superstructure that's built on Earth, and we'll try construct an orbital dockyard for bigger ships, or just because at some point we want to get away from the government's stranglehold. Like, if I build a big enough shipyard in space and orbit, I could take on the Russians and Chinese away from their communist authoritarian governments and have them employed in the Sun-Pump Revolution. I got 90 million people employed at this point. 90 million people making $20 an hour, $1 trillion a day, $2 to $3 trillion are coming in. So we sell hard mass particle correctors, full metal steel, dimensionalized antennas. Now there's three different types. You got a dimensionalized antenna that's basically a base serving antenna, and you got a hard mass antenna. The hard mass is just a blob of numbable matter that's super densified, and the forces go through other blobs from point A to point B. And they got FTL, AI cores, hard mass LEDs, hard mass energizing matter horns, stabilizers, millions of different products. You got shield emitters. You got halo bridges and walls and doorways, and so it's a lot. So we got 10,000 atomic level machinists going to be made to over 1 million worldwide. 90 million employees just to start the freedom of mankind phase. Then once we get to other Earth-like worlds and stuff, we're going to hire 500 million international ore flyers that'll mine the ore. They'll probably just live on the starship. They can go anywhere. They can land, find a place in the stars, but they have to go to work every 8 hours. Work every 8 hours a day and mine ore, for the September Revolution, and then you have 2.2 billion construction workers building houses that are foam metal or foam concrete or solid rock, whatever, and they gotta last 1,000 years. It's not a 100-year house here. No, we're out in space. This house has got to be here 1,000 years. And this is what happens. We build the Christian sea of people, all right? And we have this much extreme large September Revolution, and it builds these houses and places and gives them to you. Vineyards you didn't plant, houses you didn't build. So this is the fulfillment of Jesus' blessings and gifts to mankind. This September Revolution came from Jesus Christ. It is unstoppable. It is unfathomable. It is the entire universe. As soon as we get 100 million flying cars made today and everybody goes out to space, we will start to free extraterrestrials to our equivalency and to start to civilize the universe. But you will get free houses. You'll get free vineyards. They'll be planted. We'll buy the trees and stuff and plant vineyards and orchards and stuff all over this universe. Yeah, we don't just build the house. No, we landscape it, and we build an entire plantation for somebody to live in. You have garden stuff that just take care of them, and you go, your family to take care of it while your husband works or whatever, or your wife work, whatever. I'm trying to go an hour, but there will eventually be more people than the stars of the sky and the sands on every shore. We're building exponential, never-ending September Revolution that will usher in the kingdom of God. And these people will also mine gold, and they'll have a computer circuit space fabric, and it will possibly make the actual temple of God in the future. That's in the far, far, far future. And then those events will transpire, and you'll be back. So let's get back to practical. First of all, we got to get people to CGI the Starship. Got to get the money inflow. Got to get the IPO booklet started. Yeah, just basic steps. Starting an IPO. Exposing the base world matter. I don't know. More NASA CIA files will be leaked out. It just depends. The government is sitting on endless extraterrestrial information you can't possibly comprehend. 1 billion times more than they've still never actually released anything to the public. It's always under authoritarian walls or Orwellian walls in the internet that you can't actually get to. So basically, we're trying to do this in the midst of every government on Earth being doped up and planted on replace our mind control. All money is worthless. The governments are wanting too much control that it hasn't even started thriving the human race yet. I mean, the governments could just sit back and just let me do this and get the hell out of my way and set the markets free, and then they wouldn't actually be able to tax that and actually benefit the public by having that tax revenue come in. But they just want to constantly step on you and smash you. And they want to have some weird deal where they just get kickbacks and bribery and all this shit. They're all corrupt. Every government on Earth, every government on Earth is a failure. No form of government that has ever been made is not a failure. It's a constant failure. I was looking for my starship. That too. Oh, I found it. Yep. Right there. So this Star Wars frigate, I can't remember the name of it, but see this engine pattern? If there's an extraterrestrial war out there, which there is, a frigate like this would actually be created because it's got a lot of engines. If an alien shoots at one of these engines, or the war, metaphorical war of a war, it could still keep going. It's got a lot of engines to burn out, and if an alien hits it or something. But this is an inkling to militarization of space. This is just an inkling of what extraterrestrial military. It's our version of extraterrestrial militarism. But in absolute reality, the aliens are hyper intelligent. They're like ultra militarists out there. So the scientific extraterrestrials go from one galaxy to another. Why, just a galactic arm away, there's encapsulated stars. There's an alien war killing probably a trillion beings every 30 minutes. And this is why we have to build the miniaturized starship, to get all of our eggs out of the basket in other places. So, in case they come here and try to attack us all, they can run and be free from this alien war out there. And wars, rumors of wars. Well, these wars are so massive that these explosions are so massive that the forces refine through the space fabric and they make gamma wave bursts. They're all over the universe. There's massive explosions ripping the space fabric apart as shrapnel. And it correlates to the freaking other data. NASA, the government, does not want you to be exposed to a war on that magnitude and scale. This constant state of unfeathered warfare. It's like the United States Congress made it illegal for the American people to do it. As soon as I was trying to get American businesses to operate in outer space, they went against me specifically and made it illegal for the American people to operate businesses in outer space. It's on the news. So just like, so I tell you with hindsight. So when I originally got the computers made, all right, and I was going to link the computers together to make them more powerful, do it in a certain way. The United States government made it illegal. But then as time goes on, the United States Congress figured, the internet is connecting people, and they started using computers connected or wired to make the computer more powerful and do more processing, not knowing what it's doing. So I had to not allow them to do that. The United States Congress would have literally stopped computers from making each other smarter, or more powerful. But even as time went on, then the gaming console came out. They made more supercomputers. They took the guts out of the gaming console and made even more supercomputers. And the Congress originally, when I was trying to do that to make the computers more powerful, they literally specifically went against me, the guy that I was trying to get to do that. And I was more likely trying to actually get the CPU to connect directly to another CPU, and that's how I was going to do it. But they connected the computers on the internet that was just coming out of the baby, and went around this law. Even the United States Congress wanted to attack me and stop me from making the computers more powerful. As you had to proliferate supercomputers out through the CIA and the fat-bearded spy people, none of them gave me money, so it made. If the fat-bearded spy people were stopped by the United States Congress and the government for proliferating supercomputers, which was illegal. That's why I had to go through the CIA, because the damn United States Congress made it illegal to make the computers more powerful. So the supercomputers had to be proliferated. The fat-bearded spy people, known as Satan's Army, they're giving supercomputers away, but nobody's giving money back to me, the guy that actually owns the internet and World Wide Web, and that. And then and time going on, technology kept advancing, and United States Congress had to take a step back. They would have made it. Everything you see on the internet right now would still be illegal if they were allowed to stop it. And so that story that I have is basically what has played out right now. So I have to find a way I have to expose the subatomic revolution, the futures functions public starship industry. Go around all these fucking stumbling blocks, these roadblocks, like the governments, like the military industrial complex. Get this information out to you, and we'll have to come together, make a whole bunch of companies that build starships off the densification of non-form matter, and then we throw all this into an IPO that should have been created first by the government. So basically, I have to rely on you, the John Q. Public of the world, to help me build a starship industry, because the United States Congress hates my fucking guts, because I'm an exponential subatomic revolution. I'm a freedom fighter you can't even fucking imagine powerful. So I've been fighting the United States government longer than anybody on freedom. I made the internet to free the American people. It came from the state of Missouri. The internet did. I had to deal with freaking fucking liberals that took it to Silicon Valley because they didn't want to work in the state of Missouri, and I made Silicon Valley famous. And this same story, this fighting for your freedom without you knowing about it, is the war that I've always faced. And I'm the person that got the 24-hour news program started. And I got Glenn Beck on TV. And I got him on Fox News. And then I made him go make his own TV channel. And that's The Blaze. And I've been fighting the liberal global criminal empire far longer than he has. And the United States government. And it has always been about freedom. Every day. Which I do not watch The Blaze anymore. I'm sick. I can't stand it. I just get sick and tired of that. Just constantly supporting the federal government. I do not do that. But I do not support the liberal global criminal empire. The left. Alright, I'm a Christian. I'm building Christian people. And so that's all recorded. Since I was 5 by the CIA and since I was 7 by the FBI, it's all been recorded. People have been trying to get all that information out. They have exposure after exposure. But anyway, so we got to mastermind a starship industry from the government, the DOD. So if the government just played fair with Robert Stern Price, I would have a $3 trillion IPO. I would have a structured company that they would just have to tax me legally. They'd have to sign a contract, all right? They would have to sign a contract, get it from the company, and this is your starship after we make the damn thing. You can't just steal my shit and give it to some other crony capitalist contractor and fucking do it in the United States government. You have to actually sign a legal binding contract, and I produce this with this amount of money, which I got shit you can't imagine on a super. It's really easy for me to do it. And it's just a war, guys. It's just a war for your freedom, progress, the starship, the flying car. Now we got to start the starship industry, build the starships, boom, and then you got to find some way to rip free from these idiots over and over again, because they're always going to try to control you, kind of tax you without representation, everything they can. They're still doing it. Still trying to put law and order where it doesn't need to be. There's only 5 people on this planet. Like it got a desert island. You know how high the real estate's going to get with miniaturized starships on a desert island? It's going astronomical because everyone wants to get away from that bullshit. These politicians are so rich and wealthy they can move to any country on earth. And it's despicable how they treat their fellow Americans. Yeah. That's why I'm so impoverished. I fight so hard for the freedom of mankind. The United States government has always stole my property and impoverished me. That's why I live with my fucking parents, or doubles of my parents by the CIA. I'm not really sure who they are. Time goes on and I don't give a damn. It's 29 degrees out there now. Kind of warmed up. Yeah. So it's a never-ending war that you're going to be. This is the real war, and it's about freedom. So you just got to help build the miniaturized starship. This is not a real miniaturized starship. This is a frigate. But you'd have living quarters and living quarters. Yes, I bought these at Walmart. Junk. Millennium Falcon. Man, I love these things. They're awesome. You got living quarters. You got your home, basically. And it's just an endless fucking war. From the creation of the internet to free the American people, to constantly trying to keep control. I'm not keeping control of that. I should be able to bill them for my use of my property, but still get funded sometime revolution. So I don't know how it'll actually unfold, but a $3 trillion IPO startup is about to be initiated. And hopefully get enough pushback on the United States government that they can't fuck with me to stop it. It's just about freedom. Just a miniaturized starship to get all the eggs out of one basket so the alien war machine doesn't come here and kill us all, which they know is out there. 8-inch weapons fire the size of freaking planets. Some starships have contrails with a density of trillions of tons. The space fabric is literally rolling off the back of these trillion-ton starships like a painter's brush going into a red contrail. It is extreme amount of density on these starship engines. They're trillions and trillions and trillions of tons. Way more than planet Earth. And we digitized them. But it's not the original image, so we gotta watch out. But the NASA, the liberal global criminal empire, they're all basically the same, constantly stopping freedom, constantly trying to be part of a government, criminal, Orwellian society with other nations in the world. It's about more like criminalization of advanced technology rather than the freedom of mankind or what they're doing. I'd like to call the United States government a criminal oligarchy from now on. That's all it is. Liberal, global, criminal imperialist. Working with the CCP, the Russians, Chinese. It's like, hey, there's a lot more people in the world than you, and you are a minority. We're not talking about the Africans, individual Africans. We're talking about the authoritarian, communist criminals in government. It's about individual freedom. And when these people go together, being individuals, they are stronger, standing united than any form of united people in the history of the world. When you're a strong individual, that makes the best form of uniting with your cause. Not the weakest form of uniting people, but the strongest. The exponential freedom of mankind has got to be realized and promoted. And I got spies. They're going to look at this and go, hey, there's nothing really top secret. Just the way it is, just the government chastising the freedom of mankind or destroying it before it ever begins. There was a cartoon made of Fry's little dog sitting there on the sidewalk. Had a Futures Functions private starship industry on it, and it just cried. Yeah, I am the Futures Functions private starship industry, or the public starship industry. People made it in propaganda, and propaganda blackmailed the CIA and all that stuff. Thank you for your support of your own individual freedom. Thank you for your support of only the good of the United States of America and the world. I would not support the criminal oligarchy or the liberal global criminal empire that no one ever wants to mention exist. You have a future. You have exponential freedom. You have exponential power in a man's hands. What I'm beginning to say is that I'm going to set you forth on a war to rule the entire universe with your own two hands. And that's the biggest war humanity will ever face. To make it, to succeed, to liberate it, to conquer it, to make civility where there is none. It's town after town after town, city after city. The biggest war humanity will ever conquer, or will ever put forth to do. This universe will be within your reach in short order. And have another wonderful day. And what else can I tell you? Dimensional communications, hard mass teleportation laser. What is a hard mass teleportation laser? Light is forces rolling through the blobs that don't form matter. Forces go through the blobs and rip off a blob of mass that's equivalent to the weight of a photon. All in the particles, structure singularities, and all that. So a teleportation laser is a blob communicating to another blob, and the forces are going in thousands, trillions times the speed of light until the density is achieved to over several thousand tons per square inch in the laser. Now, some of the ships have been seen, their hulls may be like 10,000 miles thick or more. We can't attack that directly as humans if we ever get any starships. But we can definitely climb the ladder to get close to it with advanced technology. What about making a Star Wars? They might. So, Star Wars blaster, yeah. Theoretical. So we got it. Let's just, if we just have a laser aperture. Nah, I can't talk. I don't want to talk about that. All right. Have a good day.